Hello, I'm Lilian.
Hi, I'm Benita,
and welcome to the Girl to Woman podcast.
Oh, this is like going to be a signature clap now. We don't do this. We just do
now
this.
We go around.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
Hello.
How are you, Lilian?
I'm very well.
How have you been?
I'm very, very well, and I'm very excited
Yes,
for today's episode.
Yes.
Today we're going to be talking about embracing yourself, or the new version of yourself after childbirth. It's called version 3.0.
Whoosh.
That's why I call mothers. We are now on version 3.0.
3.0,
So
man.
the way I see it, I feel like women go through 3 key transformations in our lives. So like as a girl, like that's version 1, very young, very naive, like, daddy's girls, mommy's girls, and and then you get married, and then that's like version 2. Like now you're a wife.
Yes.
Now you're
not
it's
taking
a different space, responsibility. And the third is when you become a mom. And that's like the highest level of self.
Yes,
in a sense, it's a different ballgame when you become a mother. And we're going to be talking about embracing yourself, your identity, even as a mom, a wife, and a daughter still.
Yes.
And a daughter.
And a friend to someone too.
Yes.
Or some people,
And we have somebody very amazing
special
who does
and
it very
beautiful,
well.
by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so beautiful. We have someone very special to do it, to come and have this conversation with us. Aisha is the definition of what you call soft and strong. Like, don't mess with this girl. She's so innocent looking, but she's got her thing together.
Hey,
like she's a mom of 3 kids. She's a CEO.
Mom of 3.
Can you tell?
I cannot.
You cannot see.
Like she's like my sister.
She has, she's really good at balancing the whole vibe. So we want to learn from you today. Welcome to the show,
Aisha.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having
Love
me.
your red though. Love it.
The
Lady in red. I love
Thank
it.
you so much.
Welcome to the
for
show.
having me.
Yeah, so we're gonna go straight in. Before becoming a mom, you were a wife. You are a wife. How did that journey start? Like the proposal story. Like, how did you meet the love of your life?
I want to be on today.
I want to be on.
Okay, how did I meet my husband?
Yeah.
I think this was back in 2012 or 13. Yeah, I think I just finished I was towards the end of my NYSC.
Okay.
So my friend was like, let's do something different. Let's get like an Airbnb and so we can have fun. So we got this Airbnb somewhere in Magodo. So the first day we moved into the Airbnb, so I think the facility manager was taking us around apartments. He was like, oh, do you like this place? Do you like this place? And then he took us straight into this guy's house.
Oh, wow.
So now we didn't understand. We thought we were still going, different, like into the house to choose the particular house we wanted to stay in. And then my friends got in. They were so excited. They were just jumping from one room to the other. And then I just looked for a quiet place to sit down. And I sat down and I was like so uncomfortable. And then he just walked up to me and he was like, oh, hi, my name is Kumi. What's your name? Aisha. And I was like, okay, nice to meet you. When are you guys coming in? And I'm like, okay, I'm coming in. My birthday was on Monday. Okay. And I was like, okay, my friends will come in on Monday. I'll come on Tuesday after my birthday. So on Tuesday I arrived. And then I got to the apartment. There was a cake waiting for me.
Whoa.
Talk about a guy that knows what he wants. He has already bought cake
already. He didn't. Like, I don't even think he really knew my name because the kid just said happy birthday. There was no name on it. I was like, are you sure you knew my name? So we got in and then we were staying there. And then he met my friend and he was like, you know what? I like your friend, like the Fulani one. She's so cute. Like, I really like her. And I'm like, okay. But there was something different. He was like, he was telling my friend one thing, and then when he sees me, he's like, acting like all tough.
All those guys.
All those guys, you know them.
Yeah, like the ones that they soft, in front of you, they're like forming, but outside, let me beg.
So one day, and then I liked him too because I thought it was cute. I was like, okay. But I wasn't like, showing myself any, So one day, he just came up to the room. And then he was like, oh, do you want to go clubbing with us? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then he left. And then I was so excited. We just started jumping. Like, everyone, we're so excited. Like, oh, my goodness, And then, we started going out. And,
Being inseparable.
The proposal, though. I wanted to hear the proposal.
Oh, you want to hear the
this
proposal?
This was going to be my moment.
A proposal. okay, so the thing is, we always knew we were going to end up getting married.
Wow.
Like, we were so sure we were going to get married.
Wow.
Yeah, because we've been through so much together. We dated 5 years. Yeah, we dated for like 5 years. So we just knew. So we had an agreement, like, we're going to get married, but you won't propose. I don't want a proposal. Like, I don't want a proposal. Like,
That's
I just want us to, you know. And he was like, okay, no problem. And I was like, okay, so we're planning our wedding.
Wait, you're just planning.
So you're planning wedding, knowing that we're going to get
wedding.
married. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
when you know.
nice. When you know, you know.
Yeah, and then he just, he organized, like, with my friends, family, and then, she was like, okay, we're going for lunch. So we went out, and then we're just chilling like usual, and we're just gisting. The next thing, I just saw like a whole crowd of people coming and everything. And then he went to one knee, and then he proposed.
Wow. Oh, this is an all moment for me.
That is actually
beautiful,
really cute.
actually. Beautiful.
Yeah, and I think you guys have such an amazing dynamic, like yourself and Kumi, and bringing in 3 kids into that equation. What surprised you the most about becoming a mom? Like when the first time?
I wasn't ready. I don't
Was
think I was
anyone
ready.
ever ready?
I wasn't
Yeah,
ready
we
to be a
ever
mom.
ready.
I know. Okay, I was ready to be a wife.
Okay.
So I wanted us to, you know, be married for some time before
travel
the
the
kids.
world. Yes, I know that. Yeah.
But she just happened.
Like nothing happened before she happened.
She was just in our own.
And
Then
then
she came.
And she came in very fast, like,
Yeah.
you know. So, I wasn't ready. Like, I didn't know a lot about, I haven't even thought about it. Like, I hadn't thought about, okay, like, you know, having kids. It never came, you know, so finding out I was pregnant and having to, so I was just at a place where I hadn't gotten my life together. Like, okay, yes, we're married. I wanted to do so much. I wanted to work. I wanted to do something. And then I was pregnant. So I was pregnant at my first job. And as a chef, you need your energy. You need to bring in everything. And then at my first job, and I'm like, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, I couldn't work. So I started getting depressed because, you know, it wasn't what I planned for. And then eventually, life happens, and she came, and she changed my life.
Wow.
She changed my world, and she made me realize how strong of a person I am. You know, so
this is like the reality of a lot of women.
Yes.
Like, we all have this idea, like, oh, I'm gonna wait. How many people have that waiting?
A lot of
Even
people.
my own sister, like, seriously, she was supposed to wait, and 9 months later, there's a baby, and you know, it's like you can't really prepare, even when you wait. Because I waited, for example, but even then, it wasn't like I was ready. So it happens when it happens.
But it happens. I feel like it happens when God says it's going to happen.
And then you just have to be strong. And like I know some women that actually resent it, like when they, I wanted to wait a year, and then throughout the pregnancy you're miserable. What, like, just I know it's hard, but like, encourage yourself, because no one is ever ready. Like, no matter, even if you planned it, it's never ready, and you just go with the flow. But yes, that's exciting.
I think I love how she mentioned, you know, that her child actually changed her life. Her daughter. I think that when I was pregnant for my daughter, we were not expecting her. And I was
you too?
I was bawling. Oh my God, I'm pregnant again. And Mama like, now wow. I said, what are we going to do now? And then he's like, hey, let's first go to the hospital. Let them check you first. It might just be malaria. You know how men will not be trying to make you feel good about. But when I found out I was pregnant, at first I was like, okay, what do I do with this? And but the moment my daughter actually came, oh my gosh, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what I really needed. Because like, she was so cute and so beautiful. And I was like, I wouldn't have had it any other way. And sometimes God actually sends babies into our lives to actually help us have direction. Because sometimes we're like, we don't even know what we're doing. But a baby comes in and then you're like, oh, now I know what I want to do in my life. And I think that's really what, you know, you have just shared with you know, having your daughter. Now, when your daughter came into the picture, and of course she changed your life, there was also a number 2. So did you plan for that, or was that also like another surprise? Okay,
so my second daughter, I think she was the only one we planned for. And I think Dahliah was she was 2 years and, she was about 1.5 years old. Oh, wow. And I started noticing, because she had so much energy, you know, she's like so lonely. She didn't have a lot of kids to play with. And I was like, okay, we need to give this child a sibling. Wow. And then we started trying. Oh, wow. We started, like, you know, putting effort trying, but the baby wasn't coming. She wasn't coming. And then eventually she came. Yeah, so she's the only one we planned for, number 2.
So that was easy. Like, oh, thank God she's here now. Nice.
And then they went back again.
And then you tried another one.
No, the third one was a surprise.
There are lots of surprises.
No, he was a surprise because he came at a time where, so I have a lot of things put together. Like I plan, I like when things I'm such a perfectionist. I like when things are planned, you know. But towards when he came, I wasn't ready because that was the time. Okay, I think December 2021, I started falling into depression again. I started feeling like I was all about, everybody else but myself. Like motherhood.
Would you say that was like postpartum, like depression, or just general?
It was general. It was just, I just felt like, I wanted to do so much more. I was giving so much of myself. I was, like I'm there helping my husband. I'm thinking for him most of the time, like career-wise, everything. I'm putting everything together. My husband is like such a baby. Like, I have to get everything. I get his uniforms ready for work. He just chills. Like all he does is just lie down. So I sort everything out, the kids, everything. But I must say he's very supportive. Yes. But I still, you can't take away being a mom. It's your responsibility.
Yes.
And then so that December 2021, I just broke down. I was like, I want to do so much more. I have a business I'm running, but I want it to be so much more. I just want to do something. And then my husband is like, babe, what do you want to do? Because I'm like crying. And he's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to take time off? I'm ready to, you can just go. I would handle the kids. You've done your part. I would handle the kids. And then I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. So I did my applications for Lagos Business School to go back to school. Okay. And then at the same time, we decided to expand the business. Okay. So now we're going to get a space. We're going to do it like, proper everything. So I felt like I had my life going together finally. And then everything was just coming together. I think March 2022, that was last year, right? 2022. And then as everything was just coming together, the next thing, I know that day I was just joking with my husband and I'm like, I just came back from the gym and I'm like, babe, okay, so I started spotting. So I felt like my period was coming. It was like, I was close. I was like, babe, you know what? I think I'm pregnant. And he was like, you're joking. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm pregnant.
Were you actually joking?
I was joking. I was actually joking. So he's like, let's get a pregnancy test. And then we got the pregnancy test. And I just put it in. And I saw 2 lines. I'm like, no.
I was just joking. God, I was joking.
No, God, saving me.
And then I was like, no. And I was so convinced. And then I'm crying. I'm like,
that crying.
This cannot be my life. It's not possible. Again, like, it's not possible. 3 kids in 5 years. No. I was really sad. And then went to the hospital. Normally, every time I get pregnant, my husband gets scared. So I remember our first daughter, when I got pregnant, he put his hand on his head. He was like, oh my God, we're not ready. He's like so scared. The second one, we planned for it, so it's okay. This time, he couldn't put his hand on his head because I was already crying. So he's like, we would do it. And I know he was just trying to be supportive. Like, he didn't mean it. He was like, we would do it. And, I didn't want the baby. Like, I did not want the baby. And for me, taking out the baby is not an option for me. So I always know, like, if I get pregnant, I will have the baby. Even if it's my 10th child, I must have the baby. So, I was just so sad. I just sat down. I kept on crying and crying, telling, like, I don't want the baby. Then something happened. I think I was about 12 weeks pregnant. So I was speaking with my friend, and she was telling me her story of how she had a miscarriage. She was like, I went to the bathroom. I went to pee, and then I just saw, like, a gush of blood, So she told me that story I think it was on a Friday. On a Monday, I just woke up in the morning like 5 o'clock. I just went to the bathroom to pee, and I just saw a gush of blood. Oh, boy. And, for something I did not want, I felt so scared. And I was like, God, please, I want this baby. I started telling God everything. I take it back. I don't mean, So I went to the hospital, emergency, and then the doctor said something to me, and she goes, nature has a way of taking its place. If the baby is not meant to stay, it would go. So just have that in mind no matter what, but just go on bed rest. So with him, my new business, school was coming in September. This was like around July. So I had to be on bed rest. At the 3rd month, when I was about to start school, they were like, okay, you can go back to school. I went back. I started school I studied LBS. And if you know LBS, that place is hell. Like, it's so stressful. And then I started school, and again, I started school, the business, having the kids at home, my husband. It was just so much. Being pregnant again, you know, I was in school, and then what happened again? It felt like I started feeling like at 20, I think it was about 24, 25 weeks, I started feeling my baby pushed down. I started, you know, I'll be in class and I'm feeling like my baby is pushing down. I go home, tell my husband, I'm like, babe, this baby is pushing down. He was like, no, it's fine, it's fine. I'm like, no. I went to the hospital. They told me like my cervix was opened more than halfway through, so the baby could come any minute. Oh, wow. You have to go on bed rest again. At this point, I got so depressed again because now everything I wanted
had to be on hold.
Everything has to go on hold. So now, as a mom, I had to make a decision what was important to me. Like, it's my life. What has to give
priority
way? So what I told myself at that point in time was, you need to have the baby. This is, you know, order of priority. What is priority? The baby was priority. Every other thing, I can always go back, you know. So as mothers, we should be able to tell ourselves sometimes, like, you know, take a step back, you know, put things in order of priority. Everything will still come. You know, now I have my baby, my beautiful baby boy. I had 2 girls, now I have a boy. So, yeah. So,
and that's what you always wanted, right?
Yes.
You always wanted 2 girls and a boy.
So the story, when I was getting married, the pastor gave us a wedding Bible. And then he said we should always write what we want and put it into the Bible. So I and my husband, we wrote our kids' name. We wanted 2 girls and a boy. We put it in the Bible, and they came in that particular order. Yeah, we had their names, everything.
About us.
Speaking about God, I was actually going to ask, because you went through a lot. You went through, even with all your pregnancies, we have stories for every single one, but particularly with this last one, you went through a lot. So how did you manage? Like, what role did your faith play in overcoming? Because it happens to us, a lot of women. You go in and out of depression a lot. Sometimes you just feel like too much. There's just too much you're giving, and nothing is being poured. Even though your loved ones, your spouse are trying. But how did you like overcome this? What role did faith play for you?
Okay, so I remember at the beginning of, I think I was about 4 months, my mom came to the room and she met me and she was like, I want to tell you something. And she said she was in church and the pastor walked up to her and he was like, you have a daughter that is pregnant. Wow. And I see the devil trying to, you know, take hold of that child, you know. And she was like, we need to pray. That was what she told me. And, you know, that was very scary for a pregnant woman. At first I was like, why did you have to tell me that? Couldn't you just pray for me? Like, why add that to my stress, you know? And then, but I felt like God wanted me to pray because I believe that sometimes the prayer you pray for yourself, you know, it's, I don't want to say it's better than the prayer other people pray for you, but you know, speaking to God on your own. So when she told me, all of a sudden, I don't know if it's fear that set in, but for some reason, I just felt something was wrong with this. Not like something was wrong with the pregnancy, just something in the atmosphere was just, you know, like I couldn't place my finger on what it was. So I remember, I think I had my baby in December. This was like October. My mom called me because she traveled. So she called me and she was like, I had a dream. I saw you on a stretcher. You were on a stretcher and the baby wasn't there. I kept on asking you where the baby was. And she's like, I started saying like, oh, they took the baby away from me, you know, things like that. That night, my husband had a dream. We're sleeping. I heard my husband, all he was doing was screaming. He was like, no. And, you know, I just got up and I was like, what's the problem? He was like, nothing. I just walked to the bathroom and I was like, I know this has to do with me and this has to do with my baby, you know. So I asked him, he was like, he doesn't know that he just saw them cutting me, that they were cutting me. That's what he said. He was like, they were cutting me. And I was like, okay, you know what, the devil is trying. And, you know, so we started praying. We joined our feet together. We started praying. I remember they was doing... this minister Johnson, he was doing something one time. I think it was November last year. I remember that day it was raining. It rained. There was water everywhere. You see, I walked. Pouring, exactly.
You went for outpouring
with my heavy pregnancy. My baby was so big. I walked with my husband under the rain, the water to get there, and I was like, you know what? I feel like God wants me to be here.
For this child.
You know, we're fighting for
fighting for like everything, you know.
So we did that, and then I started joining NSPPD. And then, you know, I started praying, and you know, I just felt in my spirit that God has answered our prayers. You know. So when I was having my baby, I went to the hospital. I think I was about 38 weeks for just a normal routine check, and the doctor looked at me and she's like, what's going on? And the funny thing about that, I was in hospital a week before. They did a scan. My baby was measuring 3.2. She measured me 3.2. I got to the hospital 5 days later, just to tell you how the devil was just trying to, cause confusion. And when I got to the hospital, and then she looked at me, she's like, what's going on? Didn't I see you 5 days ago? And I'm like, before that, I even fell. So I was in the bathroom, and then I just slipped and I fell. I came back to the hospital again that week. My baby was still 3.2. 5 days later, I went back to the doctor, and she looked at me. She was like, what's going on? Why is your tummy this big? And I'm like, she's like, no, something is wrong. She's like, we need to take this baby out now. Then she measured me. I was measuring 4.7. How did I from 3.2 to 4.7? She was like, okay, you know what? Go for a scan. Scan came, I was 4.7. How? And she's like, we need to take this baby out. There's no way you're going to push this baby out.
So you weren't even going, just went for a routine scan?
After having 2 vaginal delivery, hearing that I'm going to have a cesarean, I'm like,
and immediately
I just broke down. I was like,
the devil tried it.
The devil tried. But God took glory.
Wow. Your pregnancy stories are so encouraging. Encouraging because this happens to a lot of women. And to see how you've overcome it. It's beautiful to hear. And I hope a lot of women are encouraged because I don't know, but some people might be lucky, but usually the pregnancy journey isn't easy. Yeah. Everybody has a story to tell. And when you are in that position, if you're a person of faith, just hold on to God. Hold on to God because I genuinely believe when it comes to kids, it's a battle for life.
It is. I think it's
I always say to people, you are pregnant. I think the enemy is clapping. Hey, new life is coming. No, they are like, let us see. So make sure you hold on to your faith and make sure you get good support, like family, friends, anyone that can encourage you. It's very important to have people around you. So I think, that's I'm really, I'm thankful to God that you're here. Yes. Baby's here. Musk is here. And
I think I really loved that you and your husband decided to fight for your child.
Yeah, together.
As a team. Yes. Because it's one thing for a woman to say, this is my child, I'm going to fight. And then the husband's like, well, but the doctors have said what they have said. Why don't you listen to the doctors? But sometimes actually, hearing what the doctors have to say, but believing God's report over the doctor's report is everything. I just love that you guys decided to fight for your child, together. It's amazing.
The power of unity. And dare I say that even because, Kumi joining you, I think that would have made all the difference. Because at the end of the day, what we don't usually realizes that the child is his seed. Is the man. So if he says nothing is going to happen to my seed, nothing will happen to his seed. Of course God will hear a woman's prayer, but that unity can't be overemphasized. So the fact that you guys did that together, I hope it encourages other women as well. If you are going through a difficult pregnancy, get your husband involved. Pray together, and by God's grace, all will be well. So that's beautiful. But now you're here looking cute, mother of three. Please, as a mom of 3, what does self-care look to you? How do you stay this gorgeous? What does self-care look like?
So what I tell myself is I'm comfortable in whatever size I'm in.
Amazing.
Though I prefer to be smaller, but I'm bigger. I have 3 babies.
Well, 3 babies came out.
3 babies. So I've accepted this is how my body is now. I love myself like this, but I can do better. That's what I tell myself. You can always do better. So I pay attention to my diet a lot, not just for weight loss, health generally. That's very important. So weight loss, exercise. I like to exercise because it gives me energy. When I find myself, once I'm done exercising, I find the energy to do
other things.
Yes. So another thing I like is, I get a lot of support from my husband, family, friends. People support me a lot. Something my husband does is, so I know he prefers me smaller, but he won't tell me that. So that I know what he likes.
As a good man.
Yes. So what he does is, now I know he wants me smaller. So what he started doing is he would go on a diet. So I'm forced to go on a diet. So that's what he does. He's not even around now. So what he does is like, he's talking to me on the phone and he was like, I'm eating salad and chicken.
How about you try that?
Yes. I'm exercising, and then I find myself doing it. Yeah, because he traveled. I've been trying to lose weight, and I haven't been able to keep up with it. So he traveled, and then he started doing it, and all of a sudden I'm in on it. Like this is like my 3rd week. Yes, and I think now I've lost about maybe 4 kilos already.
Well done, Mama. Nice.
Yeah, so the encouragement. Yeah. So he gives me a lot of encouragement, you know, and then, you know, having somebody still, even when you don't feel beautiful, like in your own skin, and then having somebody tell you like, oh, my sexy thing, or you're so beautiful, you know, it just makes you, want to do
better even. Yes. Yeah, that's amazing. I think men, please learn from that.
Yes,
don't be like, look at you are still eating ever. Please, you guys should behave yourselves. If you want us to lose weight, help us, help our ministry. No, it's actually so men can do this. You know, it's very important to be supportive to your spouses. Don't be looking at what we are eating. Don't be watching me. Just encourage me.
Yes,
you know, and you affirm me as well. Like the fact that he's actually joining in. You think he doesn't want to eat other things, but he's doing it because he cares, and that's a good way to show you care, and that would encourage your wife or your spouse to do the same
that's
thing.
Actually even leading by example. That's what it is, because he knows that your body has been through a lot, and then just saying, how about you cut your diet or anything like
it's just so rude. In fact, people, you're not gonna keep eating because it's frustrating you now. So then you're eating ice cream.
I think that's amazing. That's amazing.
It's really good that he.
God bless him. God bless him. God bless our husbands too.
Amen.
Yeah. So, how has motherhood actually impacted your career decisions? Because now that you have not 1, not 2, 3 children.
Goals.
So how has having them, you know, impacted your career choices? Because if you didn't have children, you know how you just wake up in the morning and be like, I'm
out of here.
10 places today, but now when you have children, you always have to consider that there are children, you know, in the house. Yeah.
So when I look at my kids, the first thing I say to myself is, I want them to be proud of me. You know, not just daddy, like, you know, so I don't want them to
daddy. Be proud of mommy.
Yeah, like, daddy's doing this. I want them to be proud of mommy, and I want them to. I have 2 daughters. I want them to be strong women, you know. So I want to be their role model. You know, I know they might have other role models, but I want to be their first role model.
Yes,
you know.
So
it to help them also grow into the person I want them to be, and maybe God wants them to be as well. So so having them has encouraged me to, you know, work hard, and we want so much for them. You know, like I was telling you the other day that we have a vision board. I can tell you where I want them to be in the next 15 years. We've seen that far, the kind of schools we want them to go to, and they're not cheap. They're not cheap schools. So we so something we tell ourselves is, we can't depend on just one person's income. So so 2 people have to, you know, bring in something. So I have to kind of like, you know, have to be, despite everything happening in the home, being a mom, I have to also work hard, you know, to be able to provide for the home as well.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
And that's one way to look at it. Like, you not just depend on your husband for everything. But I love how she said, I want them to be proud of mommy.
Yeah,
like, that's beautiful.
It is.
Like, I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, that is amazing. No, it's true, because people always talk about how children get their identity from their parents.
Fathers. Okay, yes, their fathers.
But there's a space for mothers as well, especially when it comes to even your sons. I don't think it's just the girls that get, like, when you see a strong woman, when you see a woman who knows herself and who is doing it, I think even the boys, they are more respectful to women because they know a good woman. So I think it's a duty to our children to make sure that we make something of ourselves. Yes, motherhood is lovely and it's sweet, but it can be all-consuming.
Yes,
it can be all-consuming. I really don't think that's the will of God for our lives. I genuinely don't. Just be motherhood is amazing. And it's like a crown, but there are other things that we can be. Like I always say, we are first of all daughters, like of God, and He has a plan for us. And I think it's in fulfilling that plan that you actually at the highest level of of a mom, because then your children can see you become, and they can become.
And they can become.
Because, and I think what more can you give to your child as a mother is you're showing them that you too, you can become, because I became, you can as well. So I think that in a way the way we think about motherhood is I'm just going to care and give. You should also take and receive, so that your children can see that they are worthy as well, of becoming. So yes, that is actually beautiful.
I think I like that Aisha talked about having. I think when you have a daughter, it changes everything for you. When you have a son, you're like, well, he wants to be like his dad, and his dad is best role model. So
I know,
don't stress yourself. But the moment you have a daughter, you start saying things completely differently, because you have the first thing you say to yourself is, I want my daughter to be this person. I want my daughter to aim for greatness, and I have to be the example. Like I don't want to tell my daughter you can do this, and then I'm just chilling and tying wrap around the house and saying good morning. Because what is the first example, or who is the first example your daughter sees of wanting to be who she wants to be? You are the first example. And since I had a daughter, actually, I think I've mentioned this to Lilian. The moment I had the daughter, I started saying, you know what? I'm not sleeping in this house anymore. I'm doing stuff because I've seen that my daughter has a strong personality too. So I want to, make sure that strong personality is for God's use. Yeah. And I must be the example. So I definitely understand that. I do.
I'm going to go back to Snapback. And as a mom of 3, would you say it's being harder or easier? Like what has been experienced, like snapping back and forth? Like how has that been? Encourage us in the Lord.
Back and forth.
Let us know it can be done.
Okay, so before I had my first daughter, I was about 64 kilos. I was really small. And then after I had her, I think I was 84 kilos, and then I started exercising, eating right. I want to say something. I'm a chef, so I know the right things to eat. I know what to do. So I kind of put my, I watch my nutrition a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So I went back to 64 kilos. I had my second baby.
I think that was after 6 months as well.
Yeah, 6 months.
Like 6 months.
Within 6 months, I'm back to where, where I was. 6 months.
Can you help me with that?
Chef, please.
Please help me with that. Okay.
And then my second baby, I went back to 64. And after having her, I was 92.
Whoa.
And then I went back to 64 again within 6 months.
Wow.
So I went back to being small. With my third baby, a different story. So now I had him, I was 120 kilos.
Okay.
Wow.
Now I'm down to 83 kilos.
Wow.
And I'm here.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, you know what? But something I did differently this time is I didn't rush myself. I told myself, I wouldn't rush with the weight loss. I'm just going to enjoy. I'll get new clothes. I would wear boo-boos if I need to, but I wear what fits my body.
Yes.
And then with time, the weight will come off. There's no rush at the end of the day. We put ourselves through too much
pressure.
We look at Instagram, we look at everybody, and we're like, we want to be that person. But at the end of the day, you just had a baby. That's what I told myself with the third baby. Like, you just had a baby. I went through a cesarean. I can't go back to exercising immediately. So it's everything. It's different this time. So.
No.
That's amazing.
That's good. Like, she showed us 2 sides of it. There's one side where it's possible to snap back, diet, exercise, it works. But there's also, the reality sometimes. You can't always snap back. You can't.
And I'd love that part.
Yeah, and you can't, because that's the reality for most of us. You can't snap back.
Matter, yes.
So talk about being confident at any size.
Skin,
at any size. You dress for that size. You look good, whether you're a size 8 or a size 18. Just, there's a confidence that a woman just exudes when she's okay with herself. So I know, some women sometimes will be like, I'm not going to buy any new clothes until I go back to my
and
size
then they start
12.
wearing really tight.
Then next thing, you're just looking like,
dresses,
what's happening with you? You're not even dressing well because you're trying to get to a particular size. But I think it's very important that we just embrace who we are while eating well, dieting and exercising, and just being strong for ourselves. And if you do get back to that weight, fine. If you don't, embrace your new figure and work it and be beautiful in it.
I think I love that.
And something I noticed now is I'm happier now the way I'm taking my time.
Yes.
And for the first time, I'm asking for help. Usually I'll do everything myself, but now I'm asking for help. I reached out to Shredder Gang and I'm like, okay, I need a meal plan. Help me, And then there's somebody else. I watch her Instagram.
Okay.
She her exercise, like her weight loss and everything.
journey.
And I reach out to her. I'm like, how did you do it? Like, normally it's not like I don't know what to do, but I just feel like I need that little encouragement and everything. So and it's really, really helped me this time. And I'm enjoying it so much better than I was with the previous pregnancies. So at the end of the day, just be happy with yourself first.
I think that's what I was just even going to say, and I'm glad you just said that it's possible to actually lose weight physically in your body, but mentally you're burdened, you're unhappy, even though you are the size 64, you're not necessarily happy with yourself.
You're very stressed size.
Yes, you are stressed. You are 64. Everybody's like, oh, you look good, but mentally you don't even feel good. And so I like that you are taking your time. Mentally you are already there. And so it's just like, okay, let's wait till my physical body catches up with how I feel mentally. And I love it. I love it. So I'm waiting for you to get all these tips from all those people, then I'll ask you for it.
Oh, that's really good. Talking about mental health, how do you manage? Like, how do you balance your emotions, your responsibilities? How do you care for your mental health as a mom of 3 and a wife and a business owner? It's a lot.
Something I tell myself is it's okay to fail. It's okay to not get it right. But how do you come? What are the lessons that you've learned? It's what is important. So it helps me. It keeps my mental health on check. Just by having that kind of mentality. So with and then another thing is I have like a lot of people. Like I said, I have a lot of support. Like at home, I have support. Like if I need support, I'm getting stressed, and I ask. Anything I ask, basically, I get it. So sometimes when I break down, I have that my go-to friend I call, and she's always there. She's always encouraging me. She's like, you're strong. You can do it. I see what you do for your kids. I see how you take care of your home. You can do it. Just hearing encouragement and having people encourage you a lot just helps to keep my mental health on check.
So would you say you still feel like Aisha?
I do. I do. I never changed. So another thing is getting into marriage. One thing we said to ourselves was, we will not change who we are, So Kumi is still Kumi, Aisha is still Aisha. Even being a mom, Dahliah's mom, I'm still Aisha, I'm still myself, I still have fun. I still find time to do the things that I love. I have my own space, to do the kind of things that I like to do. Like I like to be myself, I like to be indoors. So I'm an introvert, my husband is an extrovert. So we kind of understand
extrovert.
Like we're so different. Some people ask like, how do you cope? And then you ask him, how do you cope? We're two different people. But we understand ourselves. We understand ourselves. So he's not asking me for too much. I'm not asking him for too much. My kids are not even asking me for too much. I don't know. Like I thank God for them. They don't ask me for too much as well.
They're very independent.
Speaking of kids, what's your favorite thing about having little kids?
Just having little ones always tell me, "Mommy, I love you." That's like the cutest thing. "Mommy, I love you."
It just melts. It melts your heart. You're like, what do you want?
What do you want?
Do you want me to give you this house?
Wow. Just knowing that you have your own people, like they would always be they will always be there for me. I'll always be there for them. It just gives me this comfort.
And what would you say your advice is to like moms who are like trying to balance it all? We always talk about balance. Is there really balance?
I think, is there balance?
How what is balance? Like does it exist or is it like prioritizing? What does balance mean?
I feel like just do whatever makes you happy. Do you? Lilian is different from me. Benita is different from me. Just do what works for you. Basically, that's what I would say. Like, just make sure you do what works for you. I listen to advice a lot, so I can sit with both of you and you tell me what goes on in your home. You tell me what goes on in your home. I will take what is needed to fit into my situation because at the end of the day, we have like different of things that we want. So what I always say to people is, do you find your happiness with yourself? You need to be happy first. Like you need to be a happy person before you, because if you take my happiness and put it into it might not work for you. So I would say just be happy. It's okay to not have it all together now. Eventually it would, as long as you keep trying, you're hardworking, you're prayerful, and everything will come together at the end of the day.
That's good. I think one thing I've really learned from you today it's that it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
Like as moms, I think sometimes we just feel like
no.
I can do it all.
Yes.
There's no trophy for suffering.
For suffering,
there really isn't. Like nobody's gonna give you an award. Come and get your gold chain. It's not gonna happen.
So much.
Like I don't even think that's the will of God for us. Like motherhood is not a burden; it's a blessing.
Yeah.
So ask for help. Like I remember when I had my son, I was very intentional. Like from the beginning, telling my husband like I want support, like equal support with this. This is not the kind of relationship where you just be chilling and sleeping. If I'm changing diaper, you're gonna change diaper. If I'm doing this, you're gonna do that. So we need to ask for what we want. We need to make those requests. If it's from your mom, your spouse, get support, a nanny, anything you need to keep you being you, to keep you still having a sense of self. Because if you lose yourself, it's going to be obvious to your children. It's going to be obvious to your husband. And then you probably end up being very miserable.
Yes.
So the goal as a mom, I would encourage every mother, is to have a sense of self. Whatever makes it work for you, whatever works for you, whatever self-care means to you, whether that's spa day, just watching Netflix, do it. Do what makes you happy so that your children know you. Yes. Not just mom. They know who Aisha is. They know who Benita is. They know who Lilian is. Not just my mom. Because we are more than that. It's an amazing title, but we are children. We are daughters first and foremost.
I agree completely what you said, Lilian. I think that last week, I think I was sharing that with you. I was so stressed out, and I was telling my husband, this life is not for me. And you're saying to me, you know what? How about you just go, do your manicure or pedicure, just take some time off and all of that. And I had my mom watch the children. Lilia, when I got back, I think you even noticed, I was feeling a lot lighter. I spent like 2 hours, but the 2 hours felt like 2 days because I felt a lot saner. I felt like, okay, I didn't have to start shouting, and children will always try you. Even if you are the coolest mom. I don't know. I think your children are really cool, right?
They have their moments.
They have their moments. Right? But
cool.
like whenever you have children, you are always thinking of them. You're constantly thinking of your children, constantly thinking of your spouse. You're not even thinking about yourself.
Yes,
so sometimes
a lot.
And outsourcing is the greatest gift that can ever happen to mothers. I think we've also talked about it. Outsource. Don't
delegate.
Like delegation.
Yes.
Just having people do stuff for you so that you can have some 1 hour, 2 hours to yourself to feel better. There's nothing wrong with it. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I see why you're glowing because
peace of mind.
You have peace of mind. You have support. You are delegating. You are not
even
necessarily.
If your spouse doesn't want to help, get someone else. Get your mother. Get nanny.
As long as you have help.
Just get help. However, there's no crown of glory for suffering.
I wanted to just say, so in your own words, it's possible to do everything you want to do as a mom, even if you have 10 children. It's possible to do whatever you want. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. If you delegate,
yes, you would have time for yourself. So what I do in my home is like I have nannies and I want to say something.
Please say it.
Like I know a lot of people don't trust nannies, but I feel like being I have good nannies, I trust my nannies with my kids, I have a nanny that's been with me 6 years.
Wow.
So she's been there from my first kid to my third kid, so just trusting them and knowing that they can hold
fought for you.
For me, yes. So that goes a long way. And then I have people at my business too that I trust that can, hold it when I'm not there. So I tend to have like my me time, because I dedicate and I'm like, okay, you know what? I know I can't do everything. I can't be everywhere. I have school. Like, there's just so much at the end of the day. And I just keep praying that God protects us, most importantly.
He will in Jesus' name.
Amen. I think that nanny issue is like a thing. Remember we talked about, even getting a nanny.
That's my sub,
like, that's Benita just got a sub. I'm trying to unsub the sub because she's very like, my kids.
Yeah.
But there is space for that. I think women, we need to try and trust. I think thing is, whatever God puts his hand on can fail. So if you seek God, like anything, even if you're scared about it, say, God, I really need a nanny. I'm going crazy. Like I need help. Send me help. I genuinely believe God answers such prayers, and he will send you help. So I think we just need to try and be brave. You might kiss say frogs before you finally kiss your prince. Yes. I've had people have horror stories.
Yes.
But that's the thing, with a discerning spirit, the Holy Spirit will direct you which one is meant to stay. I'm sure you've had your stories before you find the good one, but we should try. You can't just sit down and be like, getting stressed and saying, God, why am I stressed? God is looking at you like, don't go and get a nanny. Be coming here disturbing me every day. Go and get a nanny. They're solution provided. Yes. I genuinely think it's God's gift. If I find somebody that is helping me with that is God's gift to me to help me. It takes a village to raise a child. Not
I'm looking for the village now, though.
We need to find our village. Yeah, but now it's unlike our parents' time, our mother's time, where they had like a lot of help.
Real village,
there was a family village, but now you create your own village. You find your tribe. You find the right nanny, the driver, the cook, whoever you need in your space. You create your tribe. You create systems. You create structure that allows you be you and allows you still achieve your goals and thrive as a mother. Because we talk about having a sense of self like it's a selfish thing. You need to do that to be the best mom and to be glowing.
I received your sub. I received this sub. Thanks for the sub.
So yes, we are moving on to the positive affirmation segment. I'm excited. Benita, what is our affirmation of the week?
Let me just pick it out and then we'll give Aisha so she can pick one and then she can tell us. That feels like you.
Please don't shuffle the cards. They are already shuffled.
You don't want me to do that.
You want to go?
That's my signature, Lilian. You just show them. I'm like, you know what? Let's shuffle this thing.
Drama.
How do you feel about
that? Okay.
So you pick one. I hope I'm not okay. Pick one.
Straight in the middle. What is our affirmation of the week?
Okay, it says fight like a girl.
Wow. What does that mean?
That. What does that
fight
mean
like
to you?
A
fight
girl.
I like that. Very nice,
You know what I think?
Like
I think it's like what we just talked about Aisha being soft and strong. Like fight in your feminine energy. It's not weakness. Fight with your intuition. Fight with your resilience. Fight with your hard work, like your fight like a girl, not like a man, because you're not a man. It doesn't work. But we have our own innate, energy that we can be operating. So I genuinely think that just means like don't try and be a man. Don't try and copy. Operate in your feminine energy, and you that's where your
what
X
does it
factor
mean
is.
to you?
Okay, so I feel how do I say it? Like it means fight like a girl.
Do you know what time, Benita? What does it mean to you? What Aisha is gathering?
Let me allow you gather your thoughts.
Yeah.
I think Lilian has pretty much said it. Fight like we live in a world where people want to dictate to you how to fight or how to think or how to act, and it's not. No one can teach you how to fight or to think. You actually have that responsibility first to find yourself and then know how to act and how to think. And so when we read fight like a girl, fight like who you really are,
your authentic self. I love that.
Your authentic self.
Yeah.
Fight like who you really are, your authentic self, not trying to be like anyone, and not the world's definition of who a girl should be. Your own definition of who
a girl is a fighter.
Girl. Yeah.
Women are strong.
And we are strong.
Look at you.
So Look at you.
Okay, so I feel like it means the girl child is very strong. I know most times people underrate women. They think women are weaker. But in essence, women we're the strongest. We're strong because we do so much. We do so much. Being a mother, being a wife, you're going to work. You're putting everything together. So I feel like it just means that women are very strong people.
Yes,
and you are the definition of a strong woman.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is beautiful. Yeah. Yes, definitely, ladies, fight like a girl.
Not like a man.
Not like a man. We're enough. We are enough.
We are enough.
So we're moving on to our Girl Chat segment where you send us your questions and we answer it for you. Don't forget to send your questions. Our link is in the Instagram bio. So sending your questions through that. So what is our question for today, Benita?
This one says, it's been a few weeks since I conceived my first child. The entire pregnancy was extremely depressing for me, owing to the fact that it happened outside wedlock, and the father was not interested in having the child. I am so bitter because I have to raise the baby on my own with no plan of financial support. Immediately after the baby came, I found out that I was unable to connect with him. I've noticed that I'm unable to hold the child besides when feeding him, and I don't feel sad or worried when he cries. I am scared that the pain surrounding his birth has made me hate him, or do I not just have motherly instincts? No one around me understands what I'm going through, and instead I am being judged for being the bad mother. Is there a term for this, What can I do to better connect with my son on my This is a long Wow.
Okay, so first off, I would like to encourage the mom. You know, you're doing a very good job. You're strong. You know, it's not easy to go through 9 months of pregnancy. I remember having my first daughter. I was in labor for 9 days. Most times when I say 9 days, people look at me, they give me that side look like, oh, are you sure you're saying the truth? But I was just 35 weeks pregnant, and then I went into labor. And then I was having severe contractions, like strong contractions the whole day. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't lie down. I was sitting the whole time. And, you know, it was very traumatizing. And, you know, I think I had her in the US, and every time I go to the hospital, the doctor looks at me and he's like, oh, there's nothing I can do. It's you have to get into 37 weeks. You know, it has to be an emergency. He kept on saying it has to be an emergency for them to do anything. You know, so I had to go through that pain for 9 days until my blood pressure went up to, I think, 180 over. Yeah, that was when he, you know, decided that, okay, no, it was time to induce labor. And I remember after having her, I didn't want to touch her. Like, I felt like I didn't like her. Like, I didn't want to hold her. My mom would say, feed her. And I'm like, no, she should take the bottle. You know, I was so depressed. And, you know, women go through a lot. Postpartum depression is, I think that's the word for it. Postpartum depression. You know, I was very depressed. I didn't want to hold her. But nobody understood. I did not even understand what was going on until I spoke to my elder sister. And she's like, this child is going through postpartum depression. She needs to be watched, you know, like take the baby away from her. You need to rest, you know. So I'm just listening to this mom and I have all this support. And then there's somebody that she doesn't have the support, you know, the father of the child, you know, people around her, instead of encouraging her, they're discouraging her, you know. I just feel like you need to find strength in yourself. You know, sometimes you don't have people around you to encourage you. You know, you need to be there for yourself, and you need to look at that child. You know, that's a beautiful gift from God. You know, children are a gift from God. They're a blessing. You know, it might look like this now. You don't know, in a couple of years down the line, you would appreciate that child. So I would like to encourage her to love on the child. You know, I know it's hard to say, but I would say, you know, find that love to give to the child, and with that, you will find yourself.
Do you have any thoughts? Any thoughts, Benita?
I don't think I can even gather my thoughts right now.
It's very emotional. Like, it's very, I definitely like empathize with her, because I think as women, there's always a sense of postpartum depression. It might not be postpartum depression. I found out there's something called baby blues. So it's like mild postpartum depression that every woman goes through, whether you like it or not. It's having a child is such a shift in yourself and in your body. So it actually comes from the hormonal changes, because your body is like progesterone, is it going up or down? Everything is just trying to balance. So there's always this atom of baby blues that you just feel like, I just want to sleep. I take the baby from me, and it's okay. It's normal. I feel like we can be a bit hard on ourselves and like does that mean, because I think as soon as you keep birth, first thing is, am I a bad mom? Am I a bad mom? It just follows you everywhere. Am I like, there's just this thing. Am I a bad mom? Everything you do feels like, you know, you're a bad mom, and we need to give ourselves more credit. God wouldn't give us these children if He didn't think we could do a good job. We are doing well. And like for the lady, I would just reach out for help as well. Like you might be surprised if you reach out to your spouse or the guy, he might just be able to help you. Your mom, your friends, sisters. I would say reach out, because support is so key. Like sometimes we can drown ourselves in our own insecurities and in our own fears, but actually when you just reach out, someone might just be there to grab you. So reach out for help, and if you don't have any of that, go for counseling. At least you know there's a problem, and that's the first step. So you can also ask for counseling if you don't have anyone else, but reach out. Don't stay stuck in that. Reach out.
I'm praying for her that God will help her get out of this, and He'll send people that can actually help her find herself and be a better mom for her child. Yeah.
Great. At GTW, we are passionate about providing you with the knowledge and resources that you need to improve your current realities and your life outcomes. Hence, we'll be giving out financial aid in areas of education, business, and any other forms of financial aid that you might need. To apply,
please click the link on our description box below, or you can also check out our Instagram bio.
Yes, and you must also be subscribed to our YouTube channel or following us on Instagram.
Yeah.
The winners will be announced in our final episode of the season.
Yes.
So stay tuned to the Girl to Woman podcast.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Aisha. This has been an amazing conversation.
I had a good time.
Like, we're just learning. I've learned
so much already.
Yeah. Like your feminine energy, the energy you exude is beautiful. It's beautiful.
Love it.
And yes, we're glad to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you guys have learned so much.
Yes.
Women, we can do it all. With a lot of help.
Yes, with lots of help.
With lots of help.
That's what I've learned.
So yes, let us know, what are you doing? How do you make life easier for you as a mom or as a wife? You know, how are you creating space for yourself and ensuring that you have peace of mind? So leave us comments in the comment section. Don't forget to share with your friends, moms, future moms, and let us know how you're doing it.
Yeah, how are you delegating? And are you stressed right now and haven't listened to what Aisha has said? Are you going to actually start putting in the work? Are you going to take some of the advice we're giving you guys?
And what are you afraid of? Let us know. Maybe we can touch on it.
What are you actually afraid of?
What are some of your fears as a mom, and what is holding you back from having a sense of self. With all the responsibilities you have as a wife and a mom? Let us know in the comments. Let's chat together. And yes, don't forget to like,
subscribe, comment,
share,
and share with other moms.
Follow us on all our social media platforms.
Follow us on all.
On all Instagram, TikTok, Twitter,
are you
everything.
On TikTok?
We are on TikTok.
I don't know what he's talking about.
But yeah, follow us on all our platforms, and we will see you on the next episode of the Girl to Woman podcast.
Bye.